Okay, so two boy band sitcoms, two iconic groups for completely different reasons, but there's only one question. Was Big Time Rush actually better than Jonas? Let me just tell you right off the bat, the show, so much better. Big Time Rush lasted 4 seasons, while Jonas only lasted 2, and that's enough. I don't know what else more I need to say that not only the audience, the network, everybody seemed to agree that Big Time Rush was going somewhere. Jonas had one okay season where they were witty and quirky and going to school, and then one attempt at a rebrand in the season where they're in LA and in romance and dramatics. It didn't know what it wanted to be, and that's for sure. Nickelodeon and Disney Channel both took shots at blending music, comedy, and teenage stardom, but their approaches were super different. So today, let's break down everything: the characters, music, humor, and lasting impact that Jonas and Big Time Rush attempted to fill on screen. What's up, everybody? It's Johnny 2000, covering all 2000s media, from movie, TV, video games, and so much more. Jonas had always been around before this show, so this show was kind of like an afterthought for their careers. Camp Rock was the one that really set them off in Disney Channel, but this show really took everything to the next level. Their music was great for a while, and despite the show's minimal efforts, it was always pretty good. Okay, let's start how we like to, with the origins. So Big Time Rush premiered on Nickelodeon 2009, created by Scott Fellows, that guy who did Ned's Declassified. The show followed 4 hockey players from Minnesota: Kendall, James, Carlos, and Logan, who unexpectedly get a chance to form a boy band and navigate the ups and downs of Hollywood. The series combined comedy, music, and behind-the-scenes looks at the entertainment industry. Kind of like a fish out of water, with 4 guys that aren't used to the LA scene adapting to its culture, which is always a really fun plot line. On the other hand, Jonas debuted on Disney Channel in 2009. It starred the already famous Jonas brothers, Kevin, Joe, and Nick, as fictionalized versions of themselves. It was always so hard to figure out how they connected to the real ones in the real world, like what was a part of their actual lives and what was just a part of the TV show. And since we didn't get to see them from their origins and they just get thrown into being pop stars, it's a little different. I didn't realize Disney Channel didn't like to do it that way. But Hannah Montana's like that. She's already a pop star when the series starts, so I guess that's just how they roll. It's about their normal life dealing with school, friendships, and everyday teenage issues. The music was a key component, and it actually had a lot of musical numbers that ended the plots of the episode. So they were really good at intertwining the plots and the music off the bat. And it was more of a sitcom. It was more focused on family than an industry-focused story like Big Time Rush. Now let's talk about the main characters. So in Big Time Rush, we got Kendall Knight, he's the natural leader. James Diamond, who's the pretty boy. Carlos, who is the fun-loving goofball. And Logan, who is the smart, cautious one. Meanwhile, the Jonas brothers have the charming and slightly clueless Joe, the serious and musically gifted perfectionist Nick, and the quirky, eccentric older brother Kevin. Now see, something about these characters are, since there's less in Jonas, it seems like they have more of a dual personality. Like, they take on more character traits than just the simple, the smart one, the dumb one, while Big Time Rush tends to fall into that more cartoony and broad definition. The real-life chemistry between the Jonas brothers was undeniable. Their scripted personas felt a little more exaggerated, which definitely was on tone with Big Time Rush. I don't know what it is about these boy band shows that they have to actually be over-the-top ridiculous, but I guess that's fine. Big Time Rush seemed to be script first, then the brothers' chemistry second, while Jonas is the other way around. The Jonas brothers' chemistry was the show, and the script didn't really need to come yet, and definitely shows in the qualities of these. Doesn't mean they didn't copy off of one another at one point, though. And then we have our surrounding cast. We have Gustavo Rock, who's loud and over-the-top record producer. His assistant, who was always the micromanager. Katie, Kendall's younger sister, who often was a mastermind and outsmarted adults. And on the Jonas side, they have Stella, who is the brother's best friend and stylist, which has a complicated friendship with Joe. Macy, who's the ultimate fangirl turned into best friend. And Tom, the boy's quirky dad, who manages their careers. So both shows are super unique in the way they surround their cast. And for some reason, I don't know how Big Time Rush juggles so many main characters. While Jonas had a fun and likable supporting cast, Big Time Rush's definitely felt more integral to the band's success and struggles, making their presence a little bit more impactful. A fan and a potential relationship always with the group allowed for a lot more interesting stories with Jonas. Unfortunately, it never could have been explored. Then let's talk about the music. So since both shows were centered around boy bands, obviously music was a big part of their appeal. Big Time Rush was designed to be a real band within the show. Big Time Rush was designed to be a real band within the show and in real life, with songs like Boyfriend, Worldwide, Till I Forget About You. They were like major hits and some of my favorites. The show definitely blended the performances to the storyline, and the music was just so natural. Jonas, on the other hand, featured music by already established Jonas Brother tracks, like LA Baby, Keep It Real, like things that they wrote for the show, but it was more so in their band's voice. Give Love a Try, that was a good song, I like that. It just felt a little bit separate from the plot. Or if it was coincided with the plot, it's a little cheesy, like that pizza song. I don't know what that was about. And I remember they had a couple episodes that were very similar, like Big Time School of Rock, that one where they have to balance fame and school. Like, literally, that's the same thing as Exam Jam from Jonas. And it's the brothers trying to pass finals while still maintaining their musical commitments. Then Big Time Fans and Macy's Day Parade, those are the episodes which both focused around the fan behavior around the group. Big Time Rush has that obsessive fan, and obviously Macy knows the brothers, and her tendencies get out of control, but it is a little bit cooler because Macy's a main character as opposed to the fangirl, the Big Time Rush one. Comedy and tone is really interesting. It's both of their strengths. For Big Time Rush, they had the wacky, chaotic humor that Nickelodeon was known for, the over-the-top personalities, boys' antics, and schemes just made for hilarious moments, while Jonas had a more lighthearted Disney-style humor with quirky family dynamics, awkward teen moments, like that's what they were about. And genuinely, I preferred the Big Time Rush on this account, unfortunately, for you guys. The relationships were interesting. Big Time Rush didn't really follow a super strong narrative when it came to the relationships, not like Jonas did. I mean, Jonas had the love interest just a part of the main group, the main cast. It's a lot harder to find a consistent love theme when there's so many characters you have to balance. So Joe definitely had the backseat story. And I definitely think Big Time Rush didn't keep the consistency that well. Like, while they were so good at being a boy band show, that definitely came at the cost of having those relationships really meaning something and carrying out. But Jonas, in its short time period, did a good job at that, kind of. So which show was better? I mean, there was never a question. I just thought it would be fun to talk about, compare and contrast as you will. But if you were looking for a show that took a boy band from nothing to a big, famous dream and navigating all the ups and downs that come with the industry, Big Time Rush was definitely the clear winner. Its mix of comedy, music, and industry is so entertaining to watch, and it's just really well thought out. The characters are interesting, the entire ensemble makes the show feel like successful when they do well. But if you were already a Jonas Brothers fan and saw them come to the big screen, obviously this is going to be so much more nostalgic for you. This is probably your childhood. If you're a Disney kid and want to see a boy band show, this is definitely going to scratch that itch. I wish I could tell you you'd have a lot of episodes to use, but you wouldn't. And I don't know how the fans really think about this show, and I'm so curious how that tone gap between the first season and the second one really did for their fans. And if you like the Jonas Brothers, their over-the-top personalities, wacky situations would definitely have entertained you. But at the end of the day, both shows brought something really unique to the table, something really fun, and some good music to listen to while you're at it. But I would love to know which one is your guys' favorite, Jonas or Big Time Rush? Please let me know in the comments. I personally am a big Time Rush fan. Not only are they good on screen, but they're great performers, and their whole story really grabs me. Unlike Jonas, who has always been a part of my childhood, but I've never quite been reeled into the show in a way a Jonas fan would be. And I definitely think they could have done better. Like, if they really leaned into what it took to be a band in a more ugly sense, you know, like the obstacles, but it never really got the chance to grow or inevitably become the better show anyway, so it's not really like it had a chance. I definitely think the dynamic is different. Like, having the Jonas Brothers be actually related shows that, like, of course they're gonna have to make up after all these disagreements, but Big Time Rush feels like there's a lot more at stake because they're all just friends, you know, like they could walk out of each other's lives at any minute, so their bond is a little bit more of a choice than the others. If anything, there's just so much for them to worry about, and that makes you, as an audience, really want to tune in and see what's next. But for the Jonas Brothers, it's not like it's a really big risk, you know, like, it's not like they're gonna one day move out and never see each other again. I mean, they had some scares in the episodes, but it just never really became a threat.
But I think each show is good in its own right. But what do you guys think? Don't forget to tell me in the comments below whether you were a Big Time Rush fan or a Jonas Brothers fan. And until next time, this is Johnny 2000s covering media, TV, movies, and so much more. I'll see you guys next time.